All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. This is going to be a lesson that I'm going to call something like, we know we're not under the new covenant because, right? And then I'm going to be going into several situations into how we can tell that we're not under the new covenant, because you can see these things within our people, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is read what the new covenant is, all right? Let's read it. This is Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahweh. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I'll put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Right, so what the new covenant is, according to what the Bible says, is that God's laws are going to be put within the minds of the Israelites, and by when he does that, there's not going to be a need for another Israelite to tell another Israelite to know about God, from the least Israelite in the kingdom to the greatest Israelite in the kingdom. And because of that, all Israelites are going to know the Lord. So there's not going to be a need for nobody to teach another Israelite again about the Lord, because all Israelites are going to know him, from the least to the greatest, and they're all going to be keeping the laws perfectly. So to start off on some of the points on how we know we're not under the new covenant, we know we're not under the new covenant because we're not keeping all of God's laws properly, right? That's how we know we're not under the new covenant. That's one of the ways that we can tell. We also know we're not under the new covenant because people are still teaching about the Lord, right, among Israel, which there wouldn't be no need to do that if it was under the new covenant. Now, here's another way we know that we're still under the new covenant, because we're still cursed, right? We're still cursed, man. That's how we know that we're not under the new covenant. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments which are commanded this day, that Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Now, are we above all nations on the earth right now because we're keeping all the laws, because we're under the new covenant? No, we're not, right? We ain't under the new covenant right now, because we ain't above every other nation on this earth, which is exactly where we all want to be, right? But that's one of the ways that we know we're not under the new covenant. Here's another one. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which are commanded this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Now still to this day, there's Israelite men having battles against Israelite men, right? Even men that don't know that they're Israelites, right? That think that they're so-called black men and all that. They're having battles against other Israelite men to this day still, right? Then you have the man against the woman, right? Because there's this whole red pill community thing, and even among us as Israelites, we have got a lot of problems with these women, man. And also the women have got a lot of problems with us. But if we was under the new covenant, all those problems would be taken away. A man's not going to have to be pulling out scriptures to tell his wife that God said he's allowed to have multiple wives. She's just going to know that under the new covenant. And that's another thing that I can add to the list on how we know that we're not under the new covenant as well, because brothers ain't got multiple wives and the women ain't bucking up to it. That's not happening right now, right? Another way how we know that we're not under the new covenant is that we're poor, right? When we're under the new covenant, we ain't going to be poor, right? And okay, some Israelites have got money, but their money's tainted because they've had to do some weird stuff to get that money. So that's another way how we know that we're not under the new covenant, man, right? That's one way we know. Let me get some more. Let me get another one. How we know that we're not under the new covenant. We know that we're not under the new covenant because all the Israelites haven't got a home, right? So the place that I'm in right now is in the north, well, the mid to north parts of more north than mid of the of the United Kingdom and of England, to be specific, right? That's where I am right now, right? But the place where another Israelite might be in the south of England, and in the place where another Israelite might be even more north in the United Kingdom, and in the place where there's a whole bunch of Israelites is in America, Babylon the Great, but we don't have a designated home land right now that we're in. We don't have a land in Israel that we can say, okay, that's my portion of the land of Israel. That's how we know we're not under the new covenant. This is Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel chapter 37. And I'll go to verse 21. And say unto them, thus saith Yahweh, power, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and I will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall no more be two nations, neither shall it be divided into two kingdoms any more all. So has that happened for us as a nation? No. So that's how we know that we're not under the new covenant, because the new covenant also includes that too, right? The new covenant includes that happening for us as well. And that, since that hasn't happened, that's how we know that we're not under the new covenant. We know that we're not under the new covenant because some of our beards, right, have got gaps in there. I ain't gonna be under the new covenant with gaps in my beard. I ain't gonna be under the new covenant, and you ain't gonna be under the new covenant with health problems, or with your receding hairline, or with your gaps, or your physical flaws in you, right? We ain't gonna have health problems under the new covenant, right? We ain't gonna be wearing clothes that ain't mixed fabrics under the new covenant, right? We ain't gonna be breaking any Sabbaths on the new covenant, because the society is gonna be set up for us to keep our Father's laws perfectly. We ain't gonna be working for another heathen. We ain't gonna be working for a heathen under the new covenant, right? We ain't gonna, if we don't want to have short hair and we want to have an afro, we're gonna have the option to choose which kind of hair we want to have, right? We're gonna have the option. We ain't gonna have receding hairlines in the kingdom. And since I've said that one, here's one way how we know that we're not under the new covenant, right? Here's one way we know right now, real quick, that we're not under the new covenant. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 16, and I'm going to jump around in a few scriptures in Isaiah chapter 3 and Isaiah chapter 3. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 16, moreover Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, behold, therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the heads of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts. Verse 24. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well set hair, boldness, and a stomacher, instead of girding the sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. So we know that we're not under the new covenant because there's a large portion of Israelite women that are not attractive and that have bald heads, man, right? They ain't got no hair. That's how we know that we're not under the new covenant. And I think every single Israelite man out there would much rather the Israelite woman not be annoying to them, and rather the Israelite woman be the most attractive woman that they see when they're walking down the street, man. They'd much rather them look around, and when they see a woman that they think is attractive, it to be an Israelite woman that they see as attractive rather than any other nation's women. I think they'd much rather that, right? They'd much rather have a feminine bunch of Israelite women walking around in our community than these hood rats that we're seeing that have got BBLs and are twerking all the time, and the only dance moves they know is twerkaholics. That's all they know, man. That's it. Wearing stupid jean shorts and stupid eyelashes, man. We'd much rather our women be feminine and even way more attractive than they are right now. But then they're feminine and wearing modest apparel, and only we get to see what they look like with as their husband without them clothes on. And everybody else don't get to know, neither do they care, because they've got their own wives or their own women. That's how we know we're under the new covenant. I'm pretty sure that all Israelite women would much rather have long hair and not have all the health problems and the mental issues that they have, but they're too proud to confess that they have them things. right? And those mental health problems that the Israelite woman has right now, right, have been seen as part of her attitude, really, as just, oh, that's her way. No, she's got demons on her. That's why she acts like that. That's why she's always running her mouth. That's why she deep down has a lot of affection for the Israelite man, but at the same time hates his guts because she's got demons on her and she's cursed, right? That's how we know that we're not under the new covenant. And there's many more things that I could say that we're say to go in to prove how we're not the new covenant, man. There's many other things that I could say. We ain't rich. That's one I said. But let me get a scripture to back it up so I'm not just speaking my mouth. Yeah. Let me get one. 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 6. Yahweh killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. Yahweh maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are Yahweh's, and he have set the world upon them. So that's one way how we know, because we ain't been brought up from our dunghill that we're in right now, living in these places that we live in, man. That's not good. That's one way how we know that we're not under the new covenant, man. We also know that we're not under the new covenant because Revelation 13 and 16 hasn't even been fulfilled yet, right? Revelation 18th chapter has not been fulfilled yet, where Babylon the Great gets destroyed. So why would we be under the new covenant before all of those prophecies have come to pass? Why would we be in the best state that we're going to be in as Israelites forever before every single prophecy happened and even before Yahweh Shai came back? That wouldn't make no sense. It wouldn't make no sense for us to be under the new covenant before Yahweh Shai comes back. It wouldn't make no sense. We're going to have to be in a state where we need help. Once we're under the new covenant, we don't need help anymore. But Yahweh Shai is the one that's coming to bring us under the new covenant. He's going to perform that. And we're going to be changed on his return. That's how we know also that we're not under the new covenant. How else do we know that we're not under the new covenant? Well, let me get one. Just wait there a second and I'm going to get another one that proves that we're not under the new covenant. Because if you listen to Christians talking, they'll have the nerve to say that the word's in their heart, right? But we know way more scriptures than these Christians know off the top of our head. But we don't even say that the word's in our heart. And they say that the word's in their heart. But that would also include the book of Genesis, the book of Exodus, the book of Numbers, the book of Leviticus, and the book of Deuteronomy, right? If it's in their mind and it's in their heart, right? So how comes they ain't following any of God's laws and they say that it's done away with if it's in their heart? How comes the word of the Lord's in their heart with a smooth face, eating a bacon sandwich with a suit on, celebrating Christmas, all in the same day? How can the word of the Lord be in their heart while they're doing all that? Well, here's another way how we know that we're not under the new covenant. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 26. The last enemy that should be destroyed is death. Has death been destroyed for the Israelites? No. Therefore, we're not under the new covenant yet, because recently there was a video that went out of an Israelite brother dying of what he died from. I'm not gonna say out on this video what he died from, but people that will have seen that video they'll know, right? But he died, man, right? And people cared for that brother, right? But he's not alive anymore on this earth. He's alive in the spirit world, and he's gonna come back. But he's not alive right now in this world, though, right? So that's one way how we know that we're not under the new covenant, right? Because Israelites are still dying, and there's still going to be many more Israelites that are going to die because we're not under the new covenant yet. Even some of us that are alive right now as Israelites, because we might have to be people that have to fulfill Revelation 20 and 4, man, where it comes into getting beheaded for not wanting to take that karab, man. And that's something that is a thing that is important to think about, man, because if you're good there thinking, man, I've done so much works, I ain't never going to be getting my head taken off. He'd definitely choose somebody else that's did less works than me. Well, you have to remember Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai did more works than any of us. So much works that if the whole world had all the books written about, if there was books written about all the works that he did, it says that the whole world couldn't contain what he did. But he died worse than what we're gonna, even if we do face Revelation 20 and 4. Once that guillotine blade comes down, that's the end of it. Despite whatever happens before that blade goes down. Once the blade goes down, that's the end of it, man. And that's just because of what wickedness we've did, that we're gonna go through that, not because of no wickedness that any other brother did. So yeah, I've read 1 Corinthians 15 and 26. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. But let me get another thing. Let me go even further. Verse 51. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. This ain't changed right now. In order for a brother to even think he's a little bit healthy in this society that we're living right now, he's got to take himself out there, right, and jog on the streets or whatever, right, jog down the streets. And he doesn't get the physical benefits from that jogging the first day that he might do it. He might that first day, he's going to have shin splints, pain in his ankle and all that. He's going to be tired before he gets to the first corner lamppost on the street, maybe if he's unfit, right? He's going to be tired, man. Then after he wakes up the next day, he's going to be tired. And that's just to get a little bit of health for his body. Whereas under the new covenant, we ain't going to have to be doing none of that if we don't want to. We ain't going to be exercising like that. We ain't going to need to do them things to be changed, to change our body. Our body's going to be changed, man. And we're going to just be different from all nations. Completely, though. There ain't going to be no nation that's going to be able to copy anything that we can do in any kind of physical sense or anything like that. Verse 52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall all be changed. Now, are these gremlins out here, these 2/3 gremlins, are they incorruptible? And even us, are we uncorruptible? No. And that's why we're continually praying to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that Satan don't get no power over us to do anything that's going to cause us to be taken away from the Lord, man. Because we're not incorruptible right now, right? If we're of the elect, then ultimately we are incorruptible to the highest point of where things stand, but we still sin right now. So we're not completely incorruptible. We'll just be, if we're of the elect, incorruptible where it counts, man, to where we won't take that corruption. Verse 53, verse 53, 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 53. For this corruptible was put on incorruption, and this mortal was put on immortality. Are we immortal? No, we're not. So therefore, we know we're not under the new covenant because we're not immortal. Because the scriptures say in Romans 6 and 23 that the wages of sin is death, right? Now, if we're under the new covenant, we're no longer sinning. Therefore, we're no longer going to face death. But we know that we're not under the new covenant because we still die. I could not be alive tomorrow, for all people know, and for all I know, right? And that goes the same for everybody else out there. So that's how we know that we're not under the new covenant, man. So for all you people that say that we're under the new covenant, you haven't really thought that lie through. And some of you might be deceived and might have said it ignorantly, but some of you are saying it deliberately, man, to try and deceive people. You're lying and saying that we're under the new covenant, and we're not under it, man. So just leave it alone, bro. We're not under the new covenant, and you know we're not. We know you're not. You know you're not under the new covenant because you know the last time you sinned, whether we saw you or not. So what's the point of lying? You know the last time you did something and you was like, I wonder if what I did there was right or not. So therefore, if you're having to second guess any of your actions, that's how you know that you're not under the new covenant, right? Verse 54. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. So has death been swallowed up in victory? No. Oh, death, where is thy sting? Oh, grave, where is thy victory? Because we're going to be laughing at death in that time, because death ain't going to be able to have no power over us. The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But once the law is in us, right, then sin's got no strength over us no more, right? Then sin ain't going to have no strength over us no more, man. But thanks be to Yahweh, which gives us the victory through our Lord Yahushai HaMashiach. And we haven't even met Yahushai yet. We haven't even seen what Yahushai looks like yet. So that's how we know that we're not under the new covenant, man. Don't the scriptures say, when we see him, we shall see? You know what? Let me get it, man. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 2. Beloved, now we are the sons of Yahweh, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. Have we seen Yahweh Shai yet? No. So therefore we know we're not under the new covenant, man. Why would we be under the new covenant before we see Yahweh Shai? Why would we deserve to be under the new covenant before Yahweh Shai even gets his revenge for what people did to him on this earth? Why? It don't make any sense, man. I'm gonna end the lesson there. I think I've said more than enough on this topic, man. I don't want to make the video too long. All praises to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.